Hello and welcome back. My apologies last week for missing my regular upload schedule. I had some friends flying in from out of state and I really wanted to just focus on my time with them and just having a great time. So as far as timing, there really wasn't a way I could shake making a video for that week. The amount of research, time, and processing it takes for me to make my videos really wouldn't allow me the space to spend the time I wanted to with those people, but I do apologize. That being said, for this week's video, I wanted to do a review for a new horror movie that came out titled Bring Her Back. On top of giving you my review, I also wanted to compare and contrast my experience with both films by the same creators and elaborate a bit on 2022's Talk to Me. Welcome to Both Angle Reviews, and let's begin with my spoiler-free review of Bring Her Back and Talk to Me. Right away, I want to preface that after quite a bit of time of processing for both movies, they both actually have the same rating for me. I give them both a solid 8 out of 10. They're by no means masterpieces from my point of view, but still incredibly good horror movies that make me proud to be a fan of the genre. For different reasons though, I can't go much higher than an 8 out of 10, and throughout the video I'll explain why. Bring Her Back objectively is the better movie of the two, and I'll begin with my review of it. I went into Bring Her Back completely blind. I knew literally only a piece of information and that I was made by the same people who made Talk to Me back in 2022. With only that information, I didn't watch the trailer, I didn't watch reviews, I simply got my ticket with some friends and went in blind. Honestly, it's because of how much I liked Talk to Me that I had complete trust that Bring Her Back would not disappoint. And I can happily say that it didn't. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be based off of the way the intro went, which was an incredibly unnerving introduction. But for once, going into a movie completely blind sort of did it a disservice. But I'm overall okay with the way the story was and was just a little bit disappointed it didn't go in the direction I thought it was going to go. For a while now, I've been theorizing that the next frontier of horror is children in danger, especially after Skinamarink. I just had a feeling that the most horrific films are yet to come, and they're going to be utilizing this story type of something sacred like children and endangering that sanctity and safety. Bring Her Back is demented. This movie will disturb and make you feel upset, and it does in fact utilize the children in danger archetype. One thing I really loved about the movie is how tasteful and effective the violence is. It's so sudden, and it's so jarring, and it's so extreme in some instances, but it doesn't linger or dwell on the moment. The violence spikes hard, and it's done so in a way where in the theater I was audibly reacting to what I was seeing on the screen. I simply couldn't contain my surprise. Another thing I loved about this movie is the incredible performance of Sally Hawkins. For what the film demanded of this character, I could really not see them casting anyone else for this role. It was perfection. Some more things that I loved about Bring Her Back, and also in Talk to Me, was the immersion and relatability of the characters. These characters feel believable and real to me, and I really enjoyed how much that impacted the story of Bring Her Back. It's certainly true that both movies are about loss, but I feel Bring Her Back really dials in on abuse and the idea of hurt people hurt people. This movie really delves into what nightmarish monsters humans can become when grieving and pushed into isolation due to uncontrollable circumstances, and the guilt and remorse that can follow. It's quite good, but the thing that bogs down the rating for me and keeps it from masterpiece territory is the fact that the pacing is incredibly slow. I'll admit I could have just been in a very tired state while watching this one, but in the theater, I remember asking my friend, "Does this seem a little slow to you?" To which he agreed that the pacing seemed oblong. I digress by saying that when the movie does pop off, it pops off, and was genuinely enjoyable for the most part. For me, it gets the same rating as Talk to Me, and if you haven't actually seen Talk to Me yet, you probably should. That was definitely one of my favorite movies when it came out in 2022. Talk to Me had very similar stories in reference to an unexplained supernatural element being the catalyst to emphasize the human element of emotion and turn into horror. After I watched Bring Her Back, I wanted to rewatch Talk to Me just to make sure I wasn't misremembering things. It's very clear that Talk to Me was paced better. It was fun, lively, and kept things interesting by not dragging on in some segments. I feel like the violence in Bring Her Back was much more effective, but I think Talk to Me explored significantly more existential horrors than Bring Her Back did. As far as emotional impact, Bring Her Back takes the cake. Once the movie was over, I was just sitting here thinking that's one of the saddest stories I've ever seen. I do like the many ways that you can interpret the supernatural element in Talk to Me in regards to substance abuse and coping mechanisms. While Bring Her Back lacks these elements, it tells a tragic story that explores the depravity and debasement of oneself due to loneliness. As far as both movies, there's a clear formula that simply works. If you like Talk to Me, you'll probably love Bring Her Back. One thing is super clear, it seems these creators have a stamp for their movies' flow, and it's very obvious for both movies. Sure, the formula is effective, but I really hope their next film they can break out of their own mold and surprise the audience. However, because this mold is so effective, I really can't see it ever being a bad film if they stuck to it. I just wonder how long audiences are going to want to see the same beats and style of horror. Talk to Me gets an 8 out of 10 because I personally feel like the ending was weak. Bring Her Back had a better ending in my opinion, but due to the pacing, it also gets an 8 out of 10. Let me know what you thought about the movies in the comments below. I'd love to hear how you all felt regarding 2025's Bring Her Back and 2022's Talk to Me. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this type of content, leave a like, and as always, subscribing is greatly appreciated, and I'll see you next week.